Hi everyone, and welcome to Moxxie Life Coaching. I'm Michelle, and I'll be your host as we explore what life coaching is and how it can empower you to create and live your best life. We'll talk about topics ranging from our own self-defeating behaviors to getting to know our authentic selves. Together, we'll investigate a variety of self-coaching modalities and explore a wide range of topics relevant to getting the most out of the life that you are actively creating. New episodes will drop every Tuesday, so please subscribe so you don't miss out on the great hints, tips, and tricks, and generally awesome content that will help you create your best life. So welcome, and thank you for listening. Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Moxxie Coaching Podcast. My name is Michelle, and I'm your host. And today we're going to be talking about the tarot, and we're finally getting around to digging into some more of the practical things that we need to be considering as we begin exploring and doing our self-coaching using the tarot. So as we have talked before, there are a couple weaknesses that the tarot has. And the first one is that it is not a tool for telling the future. It is not a tool of divination. And the only reason I say that that's a weakness is because the vast majority of people have the perception that that's what it does for you. And it really truly is not a good tool for essentially telling your future. It struggles to address specific time frames, meaning if you are planning on something or you're hoping for something by a certain date, it's very, very difficult to identify when something is going to happen. The other area in which the tarot has difficulty is in answering yes and no questions. And we talked a little bit about this in one of the earlier podcasts, in that we all have free will. So a reading done for someone today is going to be impacted, or the results of that reading will be impacted by the free will of the person for whom the reading is done. And because we can't control everything, we can't control what everyone's going to do, there's no way we can really truly answer yes or no questions with a lot of authority, let's say. So if you're looking for answers to yes or no questions, I would recommend that instead of using the tarot, you invest in a pendulum, or even just tie something that's weighted to the end of a string, and you can use that as a pendulum. I will do my best to see if I can find someone who knows a little bit more about dowsing and see if we can potentially get them on the podcast. It really is kind of a cool system for just quickly checking in, but it doesn't provide the same level of depth of the tarot. So it's kind of a cool way to complement your tarot practice or your self-coaching with the tarot practice. The reason for discussing the yes and no questions and the fortune-telling portion of the tarot, even though we've already addressed it before, is because this week we're going to talk more specifically about asking questions and what type of questions the tarot really shines in terms of answering. The tarot answers questions that begin with what and why better than any other type of question. And these are clearly open-ended questions. For example, what do I need to know about the upcoming presentation I'm giving at work? Or what do I need to know about the vacation my daughter's planning? Do I need to be worried that she's going to a dangerous country or whatever? Through what questions, you can really get quite a few answers. So one of the things that I do on a daily basis, my daily 3-card quickie reading, essentially the question every single day is, what do I need to know today? And I don't use a spread. I just shuffle, do my thing, my little prep thing, and I lay out my cards, and I use the message from those cards to give me a heads up about where I am, what's going on, what could potentially be going on today, and that type of thing. Another excellent use for the what question is, what can I do or what should I do to change the outcome of X, Y, or Z? Or what should I do or what could I do to impact the outcome of something? A way of somewhat skirting around the yes or no question is to formulate a question that says something along the lines of, what is likely to happen if I do X, Y, or Z? So, what is a good way to formulate a question when you want to know why something is happening? Well, it's pretty simple. The question simply needs to be, why does X keep happening to me? Or why does X keep showing up for me? Or why do I struggle with X, Y, or Z? Essentially, that's just asking, what do I need to know? Again, we're going back to the what do I need to know? And remember that when you're doing this, when you're asking these questions, the cards are not really answering your question. Your subconscious and your spirit guides are answering the questions. So you need to give them the leeway, I guess, to be creative in answering the questions, because they can't provide a yes or no answer. It would be wonderful if we thought that we could, shuffle a bunch of tarot cards and flip one up and say, yep, this is the answer, or nope, this is not the answer. But that's not how it works. The tarot really is much more subtle, and it encourages us to really tap in and explore and sort of poke around in there in a way that getting an answer to a simple yes and no question is not going to do. And lastly, another good way to start a tarot question is, how does or how will or how should blank, 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 right? How does so and so feel about me? How do I feel about so and so? How should I go about getting that raise that I want? Or how should I go about finding the dog of my dreams? Um, it doesn't really matter, but it's this open-endedness that is really, really critical for the tarot questions, and it is retraining our minds to get off this concept that the tarot is going to give us an easy answer, because that's not the case. It does not give you the easy answer. It gives you the introspective answer. And that's one of the reasons why I really feel that it is such a valuable tool for self-coaching and self-exploration. In a way, you can think about the tarot as a mirror that basically just reflects back to you what you already know in your core of core. What your heart and soul and spirit guide already knows is what the tarot cards are helping you recognize and bring to the surface. So remember what, why, and how, as opposed to yes or no or when questions. Okay, we're going to move on to the question of whether or not it's necessary or desirable to use a tarot spread when you are using the tarot, especially when you're just beginning. If you are unfamiliar, a spread is a pattern of cards that is laid out in front of us. Cards are laid out face up, and each card has its own specific position, and each position has its own, not meaning, has its own impact on the reading. So, for example, a past, present, future reading would be a 3-card reading. The first card would be the card representing your past. The second card would be the card representing your present. And the third card would be the card representing your future. And by using a spread, you can really individualize and customize what information you're gleaning from the tarot. You can completely individualize it. There is no defined right or wrong when it comes to creating a spread. So while as you get started and as you're getting going and learning how to do things, yeah, sure, go ahead. Don't feel bad at all about, using someone else's spread. They're all over the place. You can find them on Pinterest, you can find them all over the internet. And they are a really nice way to sort of get yourself started and having an understanding of what a spread is and what it can do for you. But the longer you work with the tarot, you're going to find that you want to customize a spread. You want to create a spread that addresses your particular situation. And it's a wonderful tool to have. And you can do that. There is nothing that says that you can't do that. So in terms of the pros, using a spread can be a little bit of a crutch as we get started. Using a spread that we develop can be a very, very valuable tool because you can ask the specific things that you want to ask, such as, what card is guiding me this week? Or have card positions in a spread represent a particular person, which can be insightful in that whatever card comes up for that person provides you a little bit of feedback about what's going on with them at the time. So a spread is simply a pattern of cards with predetermined meanings for each card position. Now, when we look at learning the tarot and using spreads at the same time, I'm a little ambivalent, to be completely honest. And this is the reason why. Because as you are learning the tarot, and if you're using a spread, you are having to understand the meaning of the card as well as understanding the meaning of the position of the card. And sometimes it makes perfect sense, but then there are times when, let's say I asked for a card to provide me some guidance, and the card I get is the 3 of Swords, which is a heart with 3 swords plunging through it that traditionally demonstrates or warns us of some sort of betrayal. And that is going to require some interpretation, right? Well, I asked for someone or something to guide me, and I got this card in this position that is all about betrayal, and I don't know what the heck to do with that. That's the reason I recommend that perhaps you begin your journey of learning the tarot without using a tarot spread until you get a little bit more comfortable. When I first started learning the tarot, being the bookish, analytical type of person I am, I just loved the idea of a spread. You know, it's like information on top of information. And honestly, I got discouraged pretty quickly. I found that if I started with simple 1 or 2 card readings, I did much better. And I also found that if I just started my reading with what do I need to know today, that was a great way to learn the tarot, to begin to interact with it and develop a relationship with it, and a great way to cultivate that connection between um, my own intuition, my own interpretation of the cards, and the traditional card meanings. I really cannot stress enough what a flexible tool this can be. And honestly, I don't use spreads very often at all. If I'm doing a reading for someone else and I have a very specific question, then I will often use a spread because a lot of people just really like having that level of specificity. If I'm doing a reading for myself, will almost never use a spread. And I'm also more likely to just sort of throw cards down as I need them and as the questions come up in a much more organic way of using the cards than is available when you're using a spread. So I just wanted to step in and make sure that everybody's on track and let you know that we are continuing with our tarot journey. We have another tarot episode coming up next week, and I plan a few more in the future. I just haven't quite figured out yet how to structure things in a way that can provide the most value to you in a non-video format. Um, I've played around with video and I hate it, y'all. I don't care for it. So I'm probably going to stick with my podcasting for the most part. And I'm just trying to figure out how to do that in a way that works for you and provides you a lot of value. So, okay, I think that is it for this very short, quickie episode. I hope you have a wonderful week. And if you don't have your tarot cards yet, get them and start playing with them, start looking them over and getting to know them. You won't be sorry. Be well.